Alright guys, so welcome to Specialized Motors. Today we're going to be doing kind of a rundown on how we tint a windshield on a 05 to 2010 C6 Corvette. So you want to start off by first unrolling your film over the windshield. Make sure it doesn't get creased, otherwise it will leave marks when you do the installation. I always like to use the mirror to help me cut the film. Go ahead and adjust the film to your liking and then start cutting any excess film. Make sure it's not touching the windshield wipers, and on the side of the pillars make sure you leave about half an inch from the pillar, or depending on where the dot matrix is, make sure it covers enough and it leaves enough space where it's not touching anything else, because that can complicate the shrinking later on. So here we're going to start shrinking. We made our line a little bit higher on this windshield because it's really curved towards the top of the windshield. You see how I'm shrinking downward all the way from the top, and that's just because it makes it easier when I'm shrinking. This is a pretty curved windshield, so what you want to do is go ahead and spread the fingers and start shrinking them before you swipe it with your hard card, which is what I was doing right there. And you're gonna see me do that multiple times just because of how much film you have to shrink on this windshield. But definitely take your time and let the film cool every once in a while so that you don't burn it. But here I am again, spreading those fingers and kind of shrinking them down a little bit to make it easier to shrink with my card. But just take your time and go slow, because this is one of the more difficult windows to shrink. See how I'm applying heat all over the film to get it a little bit shrunk before I take my card to it. Like I said, just take your time, because you don't want to. This is one of the windshields that I've had to do multiple times to get it right before I learned to get it on the first try. And even then, it still takes me a little bit of time. So finish shrinking. What I like to do after is I throw some bright lights inside of the car to make sure I can see where to cut by the dot matrix. So that's what you see me doing right here. Once you finish cutting, make sure you clean your windshield and start spraying your film down with your solution, depending on whatever you use. Make sure you apply a good amount of it just so that you don't get any marks when you're applying it. When you start rolling it, make sure to be careful, make sure not to crease it. Clean your windshield one more time. That will give you a little more visibility whether there's any dirt or debris on the windshield. So just make sure it's really clean. I like to make sure I spray and clean multiple times just to make sure, and then depending on your solution, make sure to be quick. I like to unroll about 1.5 feet, spray with solution, and then I do guide with my left hand, which is why I'm on the passenger side. Just try to make sure it doesn't touch anything around that has debris, dirt, any of that, because that will show at the end of your installation. So unroll carefully. When you get to the end, let the film hang a little bit, pull your liner, and then adjust your film. Make sure there's no gaps, no light gaps around. So adjust your film, and then you can go ahead and start squeegeeing from the middle. You can either move upward or downward depending on how you like. I prefer to move up and then work at the bottom just because gravity is doing its thing, bringing all the solution towards the bottom. But just be careful because you can crease the film while you're squeegeeing. So put enough pressure and don't move the squeegee too fast because it can crease. Make sure to not leave any air bubbles. Those will leave marks if you squeegee them later on. So this is the final product. This is what it looks like at the end. This is kind of an overview. We're going to go into more details later. But make sure to subscribe for the next videos on more detailed tinting videos and just whatever we're doing at the shop.